This is my work since the National Gallery presentation. Although it starts with observational drawing, it is primarily about working through processes. First of all, I continue the theme of drawing with words. If I take away the drawings, what do I get? Pieces of paper with just a description, creating 4 images in your head. I went back to using one illustration of Mark Wallinger's white horse, which I'd forgotten I'd drawn, using the same words as a description to describe the other 3 drawings I'd done that day. I'm often inspired by other artists' techniques and want to try them in my own practice. I've been fascinated by the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square, which recently had a blue cockerel on it, and many comments about it were used in my National Gallery piece as the words making the water in the fountain. Hans Hackey currently has a metal sculpture of a horse skeleton on it with the footsie ticker on it, and Mark Wallinger has had his work displayed here too. I read an article by Mark Wallinger who remarked that the horse played a significant role in British culture and that we as a nation have a really strong connection with them. It seemed also strongly connected with my work too, given that all the observational drawings were done around St James's Park and the Horse Guards Parade. I went back to my collaging drawings again, and when I scanned the image in, because of the layout paper I had used, this lovely blue-grey colour became apparent. At the same time, I had been looking at the work of David Hockney and the grids and map-like images he used in his landscape paintings. It almost gave the images a sense of place and navigation. So the obvious thing to do was to try layering the London AZ map of St James's Park into the background. I was rather annoyed that visually it worked too well, as my work is supposed to be about drawing, not about digital manipulation. So I went back to tracing paper and picked up with sewing again, and this time manually stitched the images together. The threads make really beautiful marks, not unlike a black gel pen that I love to use. Tracy Emin and Cornelia Parker have done a lot of recent work in embroidery too. Cornelia Parker's work is an embroidery of the Magna Carta, which was signed in the abbey of my hometown, Bury St Edmunds, and it is the largest international symbol of liberty and our right to a fair trial. As I continue to experiment and enlarge my work and processes, I drew up my digital images onto a canvas. I removed the words that seemed unnecessary and added my own. So this has now become an illustration or a piece of fine art. So I had thought about maybe photocopying the images and asked the British Council if they would fax it to me, as this was similar to an idea that Hockney had had in the 80s when the fax machine was the most recent technology, but I haven't done this yet. In April, I went to see the Alexander McQueen exhibition Savage Beauty at the V&A, and what really stuck in my mind was that one of his dress designs had a pencil drawing printed on it, and I thought about how in everyday life we were wearing drawings. At Nick Waplington's exhibition documenting McQueen's fashion collection, Horn of Plenty, I drew from his photographs, in particular the folds on the material, and then went on to draw the detail of this on another type of material, this time a linen canvas, and used texture paste to emphasise the folds of the material, making yet another drawing. I progressed to having my own drawings printed onto fabric, and when I decided to do this, I was also thinking about Yinka Shonibari's aliens that he had made out of bold batik material. Shonibari's work comments on alienation within second-generation immigrants from Africa and those with disabilities within the British culture. When my parents came to visit the National Gallery presentation, it seemed that all my dad wanted to do was drink coffee, and my mum wanted to see the birds in St James's Park before she went home. She went on and on about these pelicans in the park, and I just thought it was one of her tall stories from when they were courting. Although it does turn out that there are 4 great white pelicans in St James's Park. I found it on the internet. So I plan to make a sculpture of a pelican from the material in Unit 2.